happens. Let's bring in Republican Congressional Candidate for California, Kate Monroe. Thank you to you both. Kate, we'll start with you. So the RNC chair clearly has a preference for nominee, and that is Donald Trump. What does that say about his hold on the party right now?
I don't know if it's a matter of preference for Trump. It's just a matter of preference for winning. They do not see a path for her to win, and they're trying to rally the party early, get all of the money in that they need, start securing their messaging. They just want to win. Now, should she have done it so early? No, she certainly shouldn't have. But they're looking out into the future, trying to win, and they see him as a clear path to victory.
And Kate, both frontrunners for the Democratic and Republican tickets have been criticized for their gaffes while on the campaign trail, while campaigning in Nevada last week. And Donald Trump even mixed up Nikki Haley and former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Mr. Trump has been critical of President Biden's mental health. Your views on whether there should be a mental competency test for all politicians, as Nikki Haley wants?
Well, that's hilarious considering Trump made a single gaffe, and the gaffe that he made actually ended up going in his favor, because when he tied the two women together, it ended up forcing the narrative in the news to say, oh, didn't you mean Nancy Pelosi? So while it was probably a gaffe, it actually ended up working out. So no, I don't think they need to do a cognitive test of President Trump. President Biden, he gets one every single day when he talks. It's very clear where his cognitive abilities are. And to the earlier point, I think that they're going to swap in Newsom or Michelle Obama, and that's why they're creating all this worry about the third party. They will snap him in at the last second. That's my 2 cents.
Wow, bold prediction. We'll see if that comes to pass. Jay and I were in New Hampshire covering the primary up there, and what I remember, one of the many takeaways was that 50% of the primary goers in that state believe that the election in 2020 was stolen. And that President Trump would still be fit to serve again, even if convicted. Kate, just again, to contextualize our interviews these days, I do want to ask you directly, do you believe the 2020 election was free and fair and that Biden is the legitimate president of the United States?
I do believe he is the legitimate president of the United States. It will never come out whether it was or not. At this point, President Trump will be the president again. I believe so. I don't know whether it's relevant how it played out. It played out the way it did, and we allowed it whether it was or not. So it is what it is at this point.
It's kind of a split the baby answer there. But okay. I just feel it's important to get that baseline established. Tim, along that line, one of the takeaways from New Hampshire that didn't get as much play as the Trump's running away with this thing narrative is that he lost independents 60-38. And I'm wondering if you think that spells anything at all for the general election when it's Biden versus Trump, if indeed we're going to get that rematch.
I think it does. I mean, I think he, through whether it's in a courtroom where he's throwing tantrums or making threats or insulting Nikki Haley on the podium, he's able to get the Republican base to pledge some fealty to him. They're seeing this final race of his as one final act of support that they can give him. But yeah, independents are tired. They do not want to go back to Donald Trump and a chaotic presidency where he prioritized tax cuts for the wealthy and well-connected. That's pretty much all he got passed legislatively, except he also tried to take away health care from millions of Americans, and then also put 3 Supreme Court justices who took away reproductive rights. Those are all extremely unpopular positions. I think that's what's going to be litigated in the general election. And to your point, yeah, that means you lose independence by a big chunk, just like he did in New Hampshire.
And Kate, is there anything about that very issue, the role of independents, that worries you about former President Trump's candidacy? He's doing very well in the primaries, but the general is a much different story. He's going to need independents.
It's a little bit worrisome. It'll be interesting to see how he changes his narrative as he rolls through the season into the general election. But I do think it's interesting to note that there are sides of the light blue Democrats that are moving toward Trump. You know, the Democrats rely heavily on the African-American vote, for instance, and you're seeing a massive shift toward Trump, and I think it will keep shifting and shifting and shifting. So I think while he might lose some on the independent side, he has a good chance of picking up some of the light blue Democrats in his favor. So it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out, but I think the country is ready to be safe again and ready to get our economy back.
Do you think a conviction changes the political calculus at all, a potential conviction, any of those 4 cases, Kate?
Well, it'll be interesting because so far it's actually helped him. All the indictments and the cases that he's battling has only boosted his base. I don't know how that will play out with independents and the light blue Democrats, but I think people see all of these lawsuits and indictments for what they are. So I don't know that it's going to hurt him at all, as it has not so far.
Kate Monroe, Republican congressional candidate in California, and Tim Hogan, Democratic strategist. We appreciate your time this morning.